The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 5, Section 5, Conversation and Dialogues. Question. Very well. Let it be as you say. But what corresponding good can come of it? Swamiji. Don't you see how in our society marriage been restricted for several hundreds of years within the same subdivisions of each class? Has come to such a pass nowadays has virtually to mean marital alliance between cousins and near relations, and how for this very reason the race is getting deteriorated physically, and consequently all sort of diseases and other evils are finding a ready entrance into it. The blood having had to circulate within the narrow circle of a limited number of individuals has become vitiated. So the newborn child inherits from their very birth the constitutional disease of their father. Thus, born with poor blood, their body have very little power to prey again upon them, or body has very little power to resist the microbes of any diseases which are ever ready to prey upon them. It is only by widening the circle of marriage that we can infuse a new and different kind of blood into our progeny so that they may be saved from the clutches of many of our present day diseases and other consequent evils. Next question. May I ask you, sir, what is your opinion about early marriage? Swamiji, among the educated classes in Bengal, the custom of marrying their boys too early is dying out gradually. The girls are also given in marriage 2 year or two older than before, but that has been under compulsion from pecuniary. Whatever might be the reason for it, the age of marrying girls should be raised still higher. But what will the poor father do? As soon as a child grows up a little, every one of a female sex, beginning to with her mother down to the relatives and neighbors even, will begin to cry out that he must find a bridegroom for her and will not leave him in peace until he does so. And about your religious hypocrites, the less said is better. In these days, no one hears them, but still they will take up the role of leaders themselves. The rulers passed the age of the rulers passed the age of constant bill prohibiting a man under the threat of penalty to live with girl of 12 years, and at once all these so-called leaders of your religion raised a tremendous hue and cry against it, sounding the alarm. Alas, our religion is lost. As if religion consisted in making girl a mother at the age of 12 or 13. So the rulers also naturally think, goodness gracious, what a religion is there? And these people lead political agitations and demand political rights. Next question. Then, in your opinion, both man and woman should be married at an advanced age? Swamiji, certainly. But education should be imparted along with it. Otherwise, irregularity and corruption will ensue. By educating or by education, I do not mean the present system, but something in the line of the positive teaching. Mere book learning won't do. We want that education by which character is formed, strength of mind is increased, the intellect is expanded, and by which one can stand on one's own feet. We have to reform our women in many ways. Next question. We have to reform our humans in many ways, Swamiji. With such an education, women will solve their own problems. They have all the time been trained in helplessness. Survive depends on others, and so they are good only to whip their eyes out of the slightest approach of the mishap or danger. Along with other things, they should acquire the spirit of valor and heroism. In the present days, it has become necessary for them also to learn self defense. See how grand was the Queen of Chancy. Next question. What you advise is quite a new departure, and it will, I'm afraid, take a very long time yet to train our humans in that way. Swamiji. Anyhow, we have to try our best. We have not only to teach them, but to teach ourselves also. Mere begetting children does not have or does not make a father. A great many responsibilities have to be taken upon one's shoulder as well. To make a beginning in women's education, our Hindu women easily understand what chastity means because it is their heritage. Now, first of all, intensify that ideal within them about everything else so that they may develop a strong character by the force of which, in every stage of their life, whether marriage or single, if they prefer to remain so, they will not be the last afraid or least afraid even to give up their lives rather than flinch any inch from their chastity. Is it little heroism to be able to sacrifice one's life for the sake of one's idea, whether the idea may be, whether whatever the idea may be? Studying the present needs of the age, it seems imperative to train some women upon the idea of renunciation so that they will take up the vow of lifelong virginity, fired with the strength of that virtue of chastity which is innate in their life blood from hoary antiquity. Along with that, they should be taught science and other things which would be beneficial not only to them but others as well. And knowing this, they would easily learn these things and feel pleasure in doing so. Our motherland requires for her well being some of her children's to become such pure souled brahmacharins and brahmacharinis. Brahmacharins and brahmacharinis. Next question. In what way will that conduct to her well being, Swamiji? By their example and through their endeavors to hold the national idea before the eyes of the people, a revolution in thoughts and aspiration will take place. How do matters stand now? Somehow, the parents must dispose of a girl in marriage if she be 9 or 10 years of age. And what a rejoicing of whole family if a child is born to her at the age of 13. It if the trend of such ideas is reversed, then only there is some hope for the ancient Shraddha to develop or to return. And what to talk of those who will practice Brahmacharya as defined above? Think how much faith in themselves will be there, and what a power for good they will be. The questioner now saluted Swamiji and was ready to take a leave. Swamiji asked him to come now and then. Certainly, sir, replied the gentleman. I feel so much benefited. I have heard from you many new things which I have not been told anywhere before. I also went home as it was about time for dinner. Next, Madhura Bhava, Madhura Bhava, Prema, Namak, Namak Kirtana, its stranger, bhakti tempered with jnana, a curious dream. Sri Surendranath Sen from Private Diary. Monday, 24th January 1898. In the afternoon, I came again to Swamiji and saw quite a good gathering round him. The topic was Madhura Bhava, or the way of worshipping God as husband. As in a walk with some followers of Sri Chaitanya. His occasional bones motes were raising laughter when someone remarked, "What is there to make so much fun of about the Lord's doing? Do you think that he was not a great saint and that he did not do everything for the good of humanity?" Swamiji answered. "Who is that? Should I poke fun at you then, my dear sir? You only see the fun of it, do you? And you, sir, do not see the lifelong struggle through which I have passed to mount this life after his burning ideals of renunciation of wealth and lust, and my endeavors to infuse that idea into the people at large. Sri Chaitanya was a man of tremendous renunciation and had nothing to do with women's and carnal appetites. But in later times, these disciples admitted women's into their order, mixed indiscriminately with them in his name, and made an awful mess of the whole thing. And the idea of love, which the Lord exemplified in his life, was perfectly selfless and bereft of any vestige of lust. That sexless love can never be the property of that masses. But the subsequent Vaishnava Guru, instead of laying particular stress first on the aspect of renunciation in the master's life, bestowed all their zeal on the preaching and infusing his idea of love among the masses, and the consequence was the common people could not grasp and assimilate the higher idea of divine love, and naturally made of it the worst form of love between man and woman. Next question. But sir, he preached the name of the Lord Hari to all, even to the Chandalas. So why should not the common masses have a right to it? Swamiji, I'm talking not of his preaching, but of his great idea of love, the Radha Prem, with which he used the remain intoxicated day and night, losing his individuality in Radha. Next question. Why may not that be made the common property of all? Swamiji, look at this nation and see what has been the outcome of such an attempts. Through the preaching of the love broadcast, the whole nation has become effeminate, a race of women. The whole of Orissa has been turned into the land of cowards, and Bengal running after the Radha Prem. This past 400 years has also lost all the sense of manliness. The people are very good only at crying and weeping. That has become their national trade. Look at their literature, the sure index of the nation's thought and ideas. Why the refrain of the Bengali literature for these 400 years is strung to the same tune of mourning and crying. It has failed to give birth to any poetry which breathes a true heroic spirit. Next question. Who are then truly entitled to possess the prem or love? Swamiji, there can be no love as long as there can be no love so long as there is lust, even as speck of it, as it were, in the heart. None but men of a great renunciation, none but mighty giants among men have a right to that love divine. If that highest idea of love is held out to the masses, it will indirectly and indirectly tend to stimulate its worldly prototype which dominates the heart of man. For meditating on love to God by thinking of oneself as his wife or beloved, one would very likely be thinking most of the time of one's own wife. The result is too obvious to point out. Next question. Then, is it impossible for householders to realize God through that path of love? Worshipping God as one's husband or lover and considering oneself as his spouse. Swamiji. With a few exceptions for ordinary households, it is impossible, no doubt. And why lay so much stress on this delicate path? Above all others, are there no other relations, no other relationships by which to worship God except with Madhura idea of love? Why not follow the four paths? Take the name of Lord with all your heart. Let the heart be open first, and all else will follow of itself. But know this for certain that prem cannot come while there is lust. Why not try first to get rid of the carnal desire? You will say, how is that possible? I am a householder. Nonsense. I am a householder. Nonsense. Because does not one of the householder, does it mean that one should be personification of incontinence incontinence, or that one has to live in marital relation all one's life? And after all, how unbecoming of a man to make of himself a woman, so that he may practice this Madhura love. Next question. True, sir. Singing God's name in the party, Nama Kirtan, is the excellent help and giving one a joyous feeling. So say our scriptures, and so did Sri Chaitanya Deva also preach to the masses. When the kole, that is drum, is played upon, it makes the heart leap with such a transport that one feels inclined to dance. Swamiji, that is all right, but don't think that kirtana means dancing only. It means singing the glories of God in whatever way that suits you. That vehement up of feeling and that dancing of Vaishnavas are good and very catching, no doubt. But there is also a danger in practicing them, from which you must save yourself. The danger lies here in the reaction. On the one hand, the feeling are at once roused to the high pitch. Tears flow from the eyes, and the head reels as it under intoxication. On the other hand, as soon as the Sankirtan stops, the mass of feeling sink downs as precipitatingly as it rolls. The higher the wave rises on the ocean, the lower it falls with equal force. It is very difficult at that stage to contain oneself against the shock of reaction. Unless one has a proper discrimination, one is likely to succumb to the lower propensities of lust, etc. I have noticed the same thing in America also. Many would go to church, pray with much devotion, sing with great feeling, and even burst their tears when hearing the sermons. But after coming out of the church, they would have a great reaction and scum of carnal tendencies. Next question. Then, sir, do instruct us which of the ideas preached by Sri Chaitanya we should take up as well suited to us so that we may not fall into errors. Swamiji. Worshipping God with bhakti tempered with jnana. Keep the spirit of discriminating or discrimination along with the bhakti. Beside this, gather from Sri Chaitanya his heart, his loving kindness of all, to all being, his burning passion for God, love of God, and make his renunciation the idea of your life. The questioner now addressed the Swami with folded hands. I beg your pardon, sir. Now I come to see you are right. Seeing you criticize in a playful mode the Madhura love of Vaishnava, I could not at first understand the drift of your remark. Hence, I took exception to them. Swamiji. Well, look here. If we are to criticize to all, it is better to criticize God or God-man. If you abuse me, I shall very likely get angry with you. And if I abuse you, you will try to re- retaliate. Is not it so? But God or God-man will never return evil for evil. The gentleman now left after bowing down at the feet of Swami. I have already said that such a gathering was an everyday occurrence when Swamiji used to stay in Calcutta from early in the morning till 8 or 9 in the night. Men would flock to him at every hour of the day. This naturally occasioned with much irregularity in the time his taking his meal taking his meal. So many desiring to put a stop to this state of things strongly advise Swamiji not to receive visitors except at appointment hours. But the loving heart of Swamiji, ever ready to go to any length to help others, was so melted with the compassion of at the sight of such and thirst for religion in the people, and that it, in spite of ill health, he did not comply with any request of the kind. His only reply was, "They take so much trouble to come walking all the way from their homes, and I can, for the consideration of risking my health a little, sit here and not speak few words to them." At about 4 p.m., the general conversation came to a close and the gathering dispersed, except for a few gentlemen with whom Swamiji continued his talk on different subjects such as England and America and so on. In the course of conversation, he said, I had a curious dream on my return voyage from England. While our ship was passing through the Mediterranean Sea, in my sleep, a very old and venerable looking man or person, rishi like in appearance, stood before me and said, Do you come and effect our restoration? I am one of that ancient order of Theraputas, which had its origin in the teaching of the Indian rishis. The truth and ideas preached by us have been given out by Christians as taught by Jesus. But for the matter of that, there was no such personality by the name of Jesus ever born. Various evidences testifying to this fact, which will will be brought to light by ex- excavating here. By excavating which place can those proof and relics you speak be found? I asked. The horror-headed one pointed to the locality in the vicinity of Turkey, said See here. Immediately after, I woke up and at once rushed to the upper deck and asked the captain, "What neighborhood is the ship in just now?" "Look yonker," the captain replied. "There is Turkey and the island of Crete." Was it but a dream, or is there anything in the above vision? Who knows? Next, reminiscence, the problems of famine in India and self-sacrificing workers. East and West, is it sattva or tamas? A nation of mendicant, the give and take policy. Tell a man his defects directly, but praise his virtues before others. Vivekananda, everyone may become. Unbroken Brahmacharya is the secret of power and samadhi and work. Sri Priyanatha Sinha. Our house was very close to Swamiji's, and since we were boys of the same section of the town, I often used to play with him. From my boyhood, I had a special attraction for him, and I had a sincere belief that he would become a great man. When he became a sannyasin, we thought that the promise of the brilliant career for such a man was all in vain. Afterward, when he went to America, I read in newspapers reports of his lecture at the Chicago Parliament of Religion and others delivered at various places in America. I thought that fire can never remain hidden under the clothes. The fire that was within Swamiji had now burst into a flame. The bud, after so many years, had blossomed. After a time, I came to know that he had returned to India and had been delivering fiery lectures at Madras. I read them and wondered that such sublime truths existed in the Hindu religion and that they could be explained so lucidly. What an extraordinary power he had! Was he a man or a god? A great enthusiasm prevailed when Swamiji came to Calcutta, and we followed him to the Sills Garden House on the Ganga at Kozhikode. A few days later, a few days later, at the residence of Raja Radhakanta Dev, the Calcutta boy delivered an inspiring lecture to the huge concourse of people in reply to an address of welcome, and Calcutta heard him for the first time, was lost in admiration, admiration under. But these are the facts known to all. After his coming to Calcutta, I was very anxious to see him once alone and be able to talk freely with him as it in our boyhood. But there was always a gathering of eager inquiries about him and conversations were going on without a break. So I did not get any opportunity for some time until one day when we went.